is speaking. How can I help you?
Good evening, this is Kate Brooks. I'm not sure if you remember me. A few weeks ago, we talked about an article I'm working on. It's about your wife. I dropped by last Friday to speak to you, but you weren't working at the time. I asked the security guard to pass on a note for me. I would like us to discuss the topic of...
I thought I had made it painfully obvious for the last time. No! Please don't call me again and stop inquiring about my wife. Damn journalists. They don't let me work. God damn it. I'm not in the best frame of mind to record a lecture for my students now. I'm feeling completely broken. Where did I leave my... They definitely pay me too little for this. They definitely pay me too little for this. Wednesday. It's not my favorite day, although it won't be needed for the next few months. Stephen didn't clean up after himself again. Awful. It would be good to finally repair the coffee machine. I guess it was in another life. Okay, time to pull myself together. And get back to work. I need to set up the camera first. This place is starting to look like a home. Now remember, Jack, don't forget, hit the record button this time. Hopefully the new tripod is going to hold up. Now, I just have to get everything in frame. This should be fine. November 20th, 1991. Time, 8:43 p.m. Recording for medical students from the University of Missouri. This autopsy is conducted by Jack Hanman. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the autopsy room. Today, you will have the dubious pleasure of following a full autopsy, step by step. For those of you who have already performed your first autopsy, this will refresh your basic knowledge. In turn, for those whose knowledge is only theoretical, I advise not to watch this after a meal. Scalpel, scissors. Scalpel. I wasn't sure it would amount to, but the World Wide Web has been a blessing. It's been a while since it's probably... Let's start. Always wear an apron, mask, and glove. Goggles are a must. And in case of... It's true that you may... The cadaver is placed on the pathologist. Make sure that all the necessary... Like I do. In the process of revealing and securing forensic evidence, it is difficult not to interfere with the original. Written and photographic documentation plays a vital role throughout the entire examination process. During your research, be patient. Many entries are visible at first. And lastly, remember that nothing teaches. So get used to that fact soon. Everyone will think you're talking to yourself. Now, onto the police folder. That will contain all sorts of pertinent information as to who the deceased might be and what potentially happened to them. So, let's take a closer look, shall we? I wasn't sure what I'm, but the World Wide... Poor soul. I get cases like this more than any other. The deceased's name is Tobias Chambers, homeless and unemployed for at least a couple of years. The deceased was found on the outskirts where he often begged and persistently offered driver. The body was noticed by a station employee during. Initially, he thought that someone had. It took him a moment to recognize. Signs of libation were empty bottles, traces of an inept. That's it. It's worth remembering the context around the scene of a death. This allows you to better interpret any traces found on the body. I shouldn't start the procedure without gloves. Now it's our turn to take some pictures for our files. If I can just remember where I left the camera. It's in here somewhere. It's bro. Aha! There you are. I knew it was here somewhere. As I mentioned at the beginning, before we begin the internal examination, we need to document the cadaver and the condition it arrived in. We begin with a full body photo. Try and stick to the top-down rule, but this is not always possible. Let's keep in mind it's all about the legibility, not the perfect frame. Voila! Now we move on to the next step, looking for traces. Take your time. Look at the corpse from different sides. You're looking for... some wounds in the feet and signs of frostbite, probably because the subject... Boiler-yield wound. Looks old. I'll take a closer look later. Hardened hands, worn out by physical work, and frostbite? That's something interesting. It will be necessary to check whether this injury was... In a moment, we will check which of our initial observations will be worthy of further consideration. But before we get to that, I need to write down some basic data. Scalpel. Personal information. The deceased was unclothed. Date. Okay. As you can see, I note everything down on previously prepared forms. Every pathologist, this not only allows you to track the procedure, but also So, enough of the boring prep. Let's begin by taking a closer look at this. For this, you're going to need a magnifying glass.